Welcome to this gorgeous and sacred space of the heart. Allow your attention to wander inward freely, gently, tenderly, inviting all of you into the warm glow of the heart's center. Can you feel the breath of love moving all through you, nurturing with each inhale, cleansing with each exhale? In every breath, surrendering to the divine design of your very being, the blessing of love that is you. You are the embodiment of love itself, living the journey of coming home to the remembering of eternal love. Breaking down the misalignments and misconceptions of what love is thought to be. Letting go and opening yourself to true and everlasting, unconditional love. The love that begins within, accepting every part of you, embracing all that you are, just as you are. The love that you can come to trust, that empowers you, nurtures you, guides you, drives you, and inspires you. The love you can commit to with every choice, with your entire soul. The love that stays with you for eternity because it is you. The love so vast, it is limitless in depth and in power. The power to heal. The power to grow. The power to transform. True love is the stuff that miracles are made from. Both the grandest and the tiniest miracles of love are at play every single day. When you look for the miracles of love in your life, what do you notice? What is there that maybe you didn't notice before? does love surprise and delight you? In all of the ways love appears in your life and in all of the ways you desire, you are inherently deserving of it all, of all love. You are divine.
Hello everyone, my name is Christina.
And my name is Danny.
And we are doing the card reading for this week's Church of Union service. We are using the Power of Surrender deck by Judith Orloff. And on our spiritual journey this week, I really felt a lot of surrender energy. There are a lot of opportunities to go deeper into surrender. And so I thought this was the perfect deck reading. And so the first card that we have is Surrender to Spirit. And it says, once you've done everything you can to achieve a goal, turn the situation over to the divine. Let Spirit work its magic for you. So yeah, this card is just really about surrendering to God in every moment, regardless of what block you're healing, what upset, whatever task you have in front of you, manifestation. We want to shift from any controlling energy, anywhere that you're trying to control or getting stressed or pressuring yourself, and giving that to God and giving God his power so that he can work miracles in your life. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities for me this week to release control, where I was like trying to get things done, and it was kind of like I kept hitting a wall. And so then obviously the moment that I surrendered and gave it to God, it was taken care of. And so it's just a reminder to relax into God's peace and into God's power. And yeah, is there anything you want to say about that card?
Yeah, I mean, it just really, it's a very powerful card for me, especially this week, because it's about God, this whole journey. The whole point of unionism is about God, union with God, recognizing that God is the priority in your life, God is the center of your life. And it's safe to acknowledge that, and it's safe to surrender to that. It's the safest thing to do. And yeah, that's really just what I'm feeling, is that it's safe to put God first, even when it feels like there's a reason to not put God first, whether, all of those reasons stem from a place of fear and not love.
Right.
You can let that go.
Yeah, which is our next card, is Surrender Your Ego. And it says, cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. And so this is what Danny was saying, is like releasing all fear or any voice of ego that tells you that it's not safe to trust God or to surrender to God. And yeah, prioritizing your peace, like you said, any moment that you notice that you're not feeling peaceful, just choosing to surrender the upset to God and choosing peace in that place. And never allow yourself to get caught up and stay in that caught up feeling.
Yeah, it's it's very complementary to the first card, you know,
Right.
surrendering your ego,
And surrender to God.
surrender to God.
Yeah.
It's very simple and self-explanatory, honestly.
Yeah, I just think that we're all experiencing a lot of opportunities to surrender more fear and surrender more ego and to choose God in all those places.
Yeah, there's deep transformations taking place, especially with Sedona coming up. And yeah, it's a very powerful time of healing. And so it's safe to let go of what's coming up, and it's safe to surrender to God and know that He's got your back and He will support you through anything, even in new places in your consciousness or new places in your life that maybe you're approaching or dealing with. God is with you in all places through everything. So,
yeah, and our last card is Surrender Low Self-Esteem. And it says, you deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self-esteem. Yeah. So this one's really about releasing unworthiness and seeing yourself as worthy of your own love, of your own care, of your attention, and romancing yourself, and worthy of sharing yourself, and knowing that what you have to say is valuable and important. And like that the world needs your light, and so it's safe to shine that.
Yeah, and for me this week I've been learning a lot, releasing a lot of unworthiness around properly taking care of myself. Like as I've been learning these lessons, I realize how much I desire to serve, how much I desire to like give and love others and serve God. But I can't do that if I'm not first serving and loving myself. And the cause of the lack of doing that a lot of the time is unworthiness. And so you are worthy of investing all of the love into yourself and prioritizing your self-love and how you are doing and your wellness and things like that, because you require that in order to serve in a big way. You can't serve in a big way without first serving yourself. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot. Like I like what you said about like you can't serve others unless you serve yourself. And that's because like another energy that I felt throughout the week in these cards is like an invitation as well to reprioritize, like first God, then you, then your twin flame, and then everything else. And like always God. And it's always safe to choose God, even when fear tells us that it's not safe. It is safe, and you're worthy of that.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I feel complete.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed the reading, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the service. And
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Hello and welcome to today's Sunday service. We are Twin Flames Paco and
Deb.
And we are very happy to introduce you to today's sermon by Jose and Michaela, Twin Flame Marriage.
The story of building an eternal foundation.
Yeah, it's a wonderful sermon again from Jose and Michaela. And yes, let's start with this topic, what it means to us. What you got from this sermon? What spoke to you?
Well, first of all, I always love when people in the community share their experiences and the step-by-steps in their processes, and how Jose and Michaela work through their process of claiming their divine marriage was a beautiful example of how to move through the blocks and the challenges, how to surrender to the process. I think this is kind of like a key lesson in all of our journeys, is how to surrender that control. And one of the things that I liked, and it was very tied in with a class that I was watching from Twin Flame Ascension School, was this was Sunday class number 24, and Jose and Michaela, through their example, also shared this. There was a moment in which, throughout the process of having their marriage in paper, was with the visa thing mostly for Michaela. It was like, we don't feel like looking at this right now, like it feels it can be handled, like it doesn't seem to be a big deal. And I remember in this class that I mentioned, Jeff was also speaking to this in our journeys on how to be present with our reality, and also be very honest with how we are feeling in moving with that next step. And sometimes you are not emotionally there to deal with it, but you still know that it has to be handled. And I love how like it resonated when Jose and Michaela were sharing this part at the very beginning of how to work through the visa of Michaela like being already expired, and how
kind of their first lesson in this process of this deep healing was God never wants you to lie in no step of your journey, and you do not need to lie to yourself either.
Or like hide, for instance, that you had this problem and then COVID hit, and of course it was a period of grace, but this was still something that they needed to look at and move through, and of course in due time and with the lessons learned as they shared, they were able to navigate that part. Yeah,
and I find very amazing how they learned with this first lesson that they never need to lie, also not to themselves, that they feel fear here, and they have to feel through this fear and have to learn in this process to surrender, to love, to surrender to God, to build and strengthen their faith. That was very powerful.
Yeah, feeling safe in exactly like being present and honest with all the feelings that were coming up. And like they talked about it over the course of the sermon, that there were many instances in which everything seems that was crumbling down, but in truth it was only God's invitation to go deeper into their faith, into their foundation as a couple, and of course give that steadiness for their marriage, which is absolutely important in your twin flame union, that you have that foundation, so you become stronger in that place, and from there you can keep moving through whatever challenges arise.
Yes, they showed with showing us every step they made to claim. Even they had to feel through all this fear that came up. They were just honest, and they fell through it, and how God guided them. And even they had phases where they freak out and they don't know how to do. They always said, we claim our union, we claim our harmonious union, we claim our marriage, and we do not allow a separation. We claim it. And so with this claiming, God showed them the next step, and then they come this point where God guided them to ask for help, a professional, a person who can help them to get all the paperwork done, which they need to do, that they can marry in Spain. That was amazing, to open up their heart for more support from God.
Yeah, and to be able to do this process from a much more peaceful place than at the beginning. That's also like fundamental. It's always coming to that place of peace. And yeah, sometimes situations may look a little bit like they are not really going very well, but that's only for us to, again, like gain clarity, deepen our healing, and of course, like Jeff and Shaleia teach, each block, it becomes a building block to your union. So it's amazing to see how they were able to transform all these blocks and challenges throughout their process into the building blocks or the foundation for their marriage. And yeah, like that's an eternal foundation that we all can choose to build in our journeys.
And God kinda they accepted these challenges, and now when they look back they see how God helped them with working through all these challenges, how powerful and strong their foundation now for their harmonious twin flame union marriage is. Kinda they build their marriage on this strong and peaceful foundation, and that is very humble to receive their story, and to see how powerful it is when you claim your perfect life. Like also Michaela said, they always claim their perfect life together as twin flames in harmonious union.
I feel one of the most powerful things is that they were sharing in the sermon was when they, like Michaela was saying, well, I think it was the both. Like we refuse to choose separation in this place just because it looks difficult right now. So yeah, I feel like that's a wonderful share.
Yeah, and now without further ado, the wonderful sermon about twin flame marriage from Jose and Michaela.
Hi everyone, I'm Jose.
And I'm Michaela, and we're Twin Flames in Harmonious Union, and we're here to bring you this week's Sunday service. So we'll start with the opening ohms and the opening prayer.
Now the opening prayer. I am the only child of God, forever part of Him. I am created by Him in perfection, and there I always remain. My mind is my sanctuary, where I keep His holy creation sacred. I will only allow in His voice. I will only accept His word.
Today I will hear the word of God. I surrender myself to His teachings through His divine channel. I will honor what He has spoken and accept it as His will. I will be obedient to His word, for this is my salvation.
In Christ's name, Amen. So
today we have a topic we want to share with you guys about marriage, like our wedding.
our experience, our healing.
Yeah, our experience, our healing. Since at the time of this recording, our actual legal marriage is tomorrow at the courthouse here in Valencia. And at the time that this recording premieres, the premiere of our wedding will be tomorrow, Saturday, the 18th. So we felt like it was a really nice time to just share the healing that we went through, which was really about like
A lot of things.
but like the main thing that comes up is just like claiming your life, claiming the life that you desire, and not giving up on, you know, yourself while you're going through a challenge. So yeah,
so I think we can share a little our healing process, because we went through a lot of healing through this experience on, of getting married in the Church of Union, and also in booking our actual wedding date. We had a lot of challenges coming up, a lot of lessons, a lot of learning, and it's an amazing example of trusting God and having faith on Him. And when you do that, you literally cannot fail, and God provides everything for you. And this is one of the main lessons that we went through with this experience, and we were healing all of these, fear and uncomfortable things, and we are going to share what happened to trigger all of this healing, how was the process like. So how did all of this started?
Well, it started like almost 2 years ago now, like a year and a half ago, when we decided, well, when I first got to Spain after we came into Harmonious Union, like we were both aware that we were going to have to get married for me to be able to stay here. You know, like we knew this was going to happen, but because like we came together in the way that we did, we really just wanted to like get together. Like we didn't figure out a whole lot of other stuff, visa stuff, and I did research before we left. Like I didn't just dive into Spain without a plan. Like I did research that there is a way to gain residence in Spain through marriage without having to get like a visa to get there. Like you can do it basically on your like a basic 90-day tourist visa. So that's what I did. I booked a plane like February of 2020. And yeah, I researched that, and so we knew that like that was going to be the route we were going to go. However, we did not know that COVID was going to strike, you know, right then. And I have a 90 day, you know,
Extension.
no, not extension. Like I have a 90 days on the tourist visa until it's expired. And COVID definitely lasted longer than 90 days. Like pretty much throughout those 90 days we were quarantined, and so my visa expired. And there was like, you know, like people were very like, the government was very like lenient towards people in this situation because, you know, you're basically just quarantined where you were at. Like that's what happened with us. We just went to visit, you know, and ended up getting quarantined with Jose's family for a while. But yeah, so my visa ended up expiring, and like we weren't very worried about it because we knew like we're just gonna get married. Like it wasn't you know, that big of a deal. Do you have something you want to share?
Yeah, at the beginning we didn't know this. We were a little, you know, not paying attention to the visa because we were like, that's fine.
Well, we were extremely overwhelmed.
We were
Not
very overwhelmed with COVID and with all the situation
Like, we had a
that
lot
we had.
going on
Yeah, there
that-
was a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Meeting each other for the first time, living together, starting our purpose together. Our life was already full.
We had a lot.
We had a lot, and we overlooked a little the visa process. We were like, it's COVID, they are giving an extension, so we don't need to worry about this.
Well, it was like from 90 days, which is 3 months, to 6 months. And so we were like, oh, good.
Yeah.
So we focused like mainly on just like, you know, making money so that we could have our own place, because being with Jose's family was not compassionate. And yeah, like it was like we knew that we were gonna have to do that, you know, but it was just like not a priority because priority was basically like survival.
Yeah.
And yeah, so.
Yeah, at that point we were like, we know that we are going to get married. I knew since the moment that we came together that I'm going to ask her, I don't know how or when. God guided me to do it in a specific moment when the visa, I think, was expired
It was
or
like a
about to
couple of days
expire.
before.
And I finally proposed, and we started making plans, but nothing was moving.
There was nothing.
Everything was frozen by COVID, all the systems, everything. So we wait for that. We moved twice
to an Airbnb,
to an
and then to an
Airbnb,
apartment.
and then to our place. That was the start of our foundation. And then when we were more stable and more settled in our apartment, we started to look at, yeah, like, let's get married now. Now we can do it. Let's look for the easier way to do this.
Well, that's something, is because getting married in Spain is really difficult. Like if you're a foreigner, like there are dozens of papers that you need to get. You have to get certain translations with a special stamp that can only be like stamped by the Secretary of State of the state you were born in. So that was a thing. We needed tons of translators and witnesses and all of this stuff. And so most of the time it wasn't open, and it's, you know, we were reading about all of this stuff online, and it said that your wedding in Spain can take up to 45 days to get approved. And we were like, oh no, like we don't have 45 days. Like we need to.
Yeah, we want to do it now.
We want to do it fast. And so we found another option. That I was doing all this research. I am not a lawyer, not an immigration expert. I don't know why. Like I felt like I, you know, should research these things. But I found out in Gibraltar, which is like part of Spain, but it's like part of the UK, but it's like connected to Spain, you know. And this is something that a lot of people, foreigners, couples do. Like if one of the, you know, one of them is foreign and one is Spanish, they'll just go across the border to Gibraltar, get married there because you only need like your ID and passport, and it's, you know, recognized
Very easy.
worldwide, and it's very easy. And we were like, oh, that's our solution, yay! And so we booked everything.
Hotel, car.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were planning, we were very like, this is happening, we were preparing for the wedding, preparing for everything. We had a huge road trip. It's like a while of driving. And yeah, the surprise and the moment that triggered all of this healing was when we actually tried to enter this place, Gibraltar, and we tried
to cross the
to
border.
cross the border,
Mhm.
basically.
And because my visa was expired, we weren't able to cross.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah, what happened is like we entered the border, and something I was feeling like, I don't know why, I feel like something is missing here. Like we have overlooked something. I had that weird feeling, and I was like, I don't know what it is, because I have never traveled before, really.
Yeah.
I don't know about immigration at all. We were there so happy, like, we are getting married, and so happy, and we entered and they just started to ask for our documentation. And we saw them, and one of the things that they saw is that the visa was expired in that moment. And we didn't thought like if
Yeah, I
that
have
was
no
a thing.
idea,
We didn't
like-
have an idea if that was correct or not.
Yeah.
First time. And the officer there was asking us like, when did you come here? And we panicked. We literally panicked. We were terrified.
Mhm.
And this is one of the mistakes that we did. We lied. We were like, 2 months. And we was like, oof, that felt so bad to say that. It was feeling like very resistant to say it, but we were very afraid. And when that happened, you know, they almost basically arrest us.
Well,
Or
they
trying to
couldn't
cross.
really, like, they were just threatening us to, like,
They were
freak us
threatening
out.
us,
'cause they-
basically.
yeah, they,
Mhm.
but we learned later that they couldn't arrest us for that, but yeah, like, they could definitely, like,
Mhm.
yeah. But anyway, they asked us a bunch of questions, and eventually they told us they're gonna send us a letter with our next steps, and they just told us to go. And this was a huge miracle because, like,
Mhm.
usually, like, they start looking into deportation if you've overstayed your visa, or
They deport you directly.
they deport you or whatever. But I think that after questioning us and realizing that we were just like two very like misinformed people, and we were just freaking out and we were just like terrified, they like had mercy on us, just, you know, and they let us go.
Yeah, they were expecting us to be a fake couple, and they were like treating us like that. But after asking some questions, it was clear that not.
Yeah.
Because we looked very suspicious in the outside. We were renting a car. I am from another city, and we are living in a different city, and everything was looking
Yeah,
weird
it's
to
weird.
them. And I was like, oh God, please help me here. Because I was feeling like God cannot abandon me now. Like after all of this time. Why? That was the feeling that we were having. It's like, what happened here? Why we manifested this mistake? And this is one of the first lessons that we learned. And I remember one of Jeff's comments, a comment that from Jeff to us, and he was like, God will never ask you to lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oof, that's really.
It's kind of where we went wrong. Like,
We went
obviously,
wrong
like, we
in
wouldn't
that
have been
moment.
able to cross the border, but like, it didn't have to be so traumatizing to us if we had just like told them like the truth, you know. So that was a big lesson. And yeah, like, that was, you know, standing with the truth. Like, no matter how scary it is, or how, you know, afraid you might feel, or how vulnerable you might feel, like, God will never ask you to lie. Like, as long as you stick with the truth, you're gonna be okay.
Safe.
And that was a big lesson. And then, you know, we basically drove like 6 hours, and we had to drive back, but it was like the middle of the night, and so there was no hotels open because of COVID, and so we ended up like sleeping in our car, and it was terrible. But yeah,
Lesson learned.
well, we don't have to go through all the details.
Yeah.
Lesson learned, like huge lesson learned.
Mhm.
And yeah, for the next like 2 weeks we were waiting for a letter, and we were terrified.
We were terrified.
We thought I was gonna
Yeah.
have to be deported, and we thought we didn't know what was going on. Like, we were looking at all the different options. Like, I even considered, because we're looking at Jose coming to the States if I had to go back there, but it would take like up to 9 months
Yeah, and
to
something
get a
was feeling
visa.
very off.
It just didn't feel good, and so I was even looking in different countries. Like, we could go to like Costa Rica, they're open to tourists now, or Mexico, we can get married in all these different places. We tried everything. I got really familiar with U.S. visa process, and eventually, after 2 weeks of freaking out, we called an immigration lawyer.
Yeah, you went through MAP.
I went through MAP, that's
and
right.
the next day,
Yeah, I went through MAP and healed a really big like trauma with my mother.
yeah,
And the next day we manifested like a lawyer who was just
it's perfect.
an angel. Like, she was like divine mother through her.
Manifesting.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And she was like, oh no, like, you haven't done anything wrong. I mean, yeah, like, you overstayed your visa, but
That's nothing.
she's like, people overstay their visas for years, like 10 plus years, and they still are able to get their residence. Like, we will figure this out.
Mhm.
Everything has a solution.
She was
And we
laughing
were
at
just
us
like, yeah.
because I was like, we are going to prison or something, and she was like, oh my god, don't be stupid, because a lot of things happened before this day, and I want to share little miracles that we had. Basically, we were trying to extend the visa, calling the different offices and stuff, and my phone didn't work. I was calling the number
Well,
and no phones were working, and when they replied to me, they responded to me. They were like, leave the country.
who are you talking about?
This is before.
Yeah, but
finding
you're
the
not
lawyer.
like who were you talking to? Like,
Oh, I was
like,
talking to the police, basically in Spain,
this like the foreigners office. Yeah.
that office, to ask, like, hey, can we get a visa extension? And we were planning on going personally there. It didn't work.
But we couldn't get a hold of them.
The phone was working for everyone, not for me. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? And after this person told me, like, leave the country, we were like, oh my
Freaked
god,
out.
this is the end. But something was feeling like, no, there is a way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when we found this lawyer and we talked to her, and it was like, it's going to be a long process, but it's easy. You are going to have it, you are going to solve it. And in that moment, it was
Yeah,
a
she's like, don't
huge
worry. Like,
relief.
she's like, I don't think that they even sent you a letter. I think they just let you off the hook really
They didn't.
easily. They didn't send us any letter. We weren't in the system at all. Like,
Mhm.
she said if they had sent me a lawyer, they would have had to get my fingerprints and taken my picture and gotten a copy of my passport,
They
but they didn't do
didn't.
any of that. They just let us go. So this whole thing was just like divine grace, just like
Yeah, Shaleia
really.
said that.
Yeah, Shaleia did say that it was like grace,
The hands
God's
of
grace.
God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, this lawyer, she's really helped us, and ever since, like, we've gone through a lot of healing. Like tons of paperwork. We have gone through so much paperwork, so many translations, so many witnesses, and she's been with us through every bit of it, and just like really helped us out, you know. And like yeah, every time there was like an appointment where they could deny our application, we would freak out, like, oh my god, like what if they don't let us. But every time, like, she came with us and just like helped the process, and
Yeah.
everything worked out perfectly.
Mhm. Yeah, we had a lot of opportunities where the people were like trying to deny the paperwork to us. They were trying to put,
Well, that's the kind of their job. Like, they're trying to
Yeah.
find every little
they're trying to
detail.
find everything.
Yeah.
But God supported us perfectly through our lawyer, and that was a huge lesson of claim support. Don't even try to do it alone.
Hire a professional.
Hire a professional.
Because that was one of the reasons we didn't even want to go through in Spain in the first place, is because the process seemed so like ridiculously hard and long, and it is. But with support, like with the lawyer, that's another big lesson. Similar to hiring an ascension coach, for example, like hire a professional to help you with your
we would have saved all of this struggle. We didn't need to go
emotional
through it.
turmoil.
It was very expensive emotionally to go through all of this.
Yeah.
It was a lesson for us, and we learned a lot. But yeah, like, claim your support, and God came through perfectly through this person and through all of the people that were supporting us. Because all of the inner work that we were doing was about basically feeling safe and claiming our foundation,
and our security.
our security, our lives. We were really claiming it and claiming it to God, like we choose this, and I'm not saying no to my union.
Yeah, I will not. Like,
I will
don't.
not do this.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't care. Like, even if I have to go back to the States, like,
I'm
we're
going.
I don't know, like I refuse like separation, you know, in those moments where it was just like it looked like there was nothing we could do.
Mhm.
And the real lesson, another one of them, is just like how powerful your inner work is.
Yeah.
You know, even when you're facing down like the government, you know, something that seems just so much bigger than you. For us, it was a huge test of our mastery and faith to keep on healing, keep on going, even when it seemed like everything was like falling apart, you know, because it was not falling apart. It was us strengthening.
Mhm.
And throughout this process, we were also dealing with filing taxes for the first time, which was also like something, you know, so it was just like all these things about our foundation
Mhm.
and security and like deepening our foundation in the inner work and the
Yeah.
purification process. Like it doesn't matter how terrified you are in a situation or how you don't see that it's going to work out. Like your only job is finding peace, you know,
Mhm.
working through the block that's coming up and just finding peace there, just loving yourself and having faith, and everything always, you know, works out in your favor.
Mhm.
That was something like really beautiful about this whole process. Like
Mhm.
every single time, like we had, like I said, an appointment where we started feeling these old feelings coming up around, you know, like we went through a lot of guilt and a lot of like self-punishment and blame, which is kind
Shame.
of in shame about what happened at the border. And this is one of the reasons that I had chosen to go through MAP the second time, which helped me uproot a lot of that, like this pattern of self-punishment that I overcame, you know, and MAP was a huge help.
Mhm.
But it was just like a huge purge of everything, and this is like where we learned that more about like going through challenges, because yeah, like the community
Yeah.
was also going through a lot during this time, like back in
Mhm.
December, you know, like there was a lot going on for everyone, and it was just like, oh my god, like what is going
Mhm.
on in the world right now, you know. But like you just move through that, and like everything works
Mhm.
out perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are like other important lessons here, and I will say that the core lesson that we learned in this experience, we were very afraid of all of our foundation crumbling.
Mm-hmm.
We were very afraid of like,
That was
my
the-
God,
yeah, the
this
worst.
was the fear that was coming up constantly every day. We were moving through it constantly.
That our
Like,
foundation wasn't solid.
Yeah,
or
our
something.
foundation can collapse. Everything in our life can collapse out of nowhere and we can lose it.
Mhm.
But that's not the truth. You cannot lose it. If you are doing it with God
If you choose to stay
and you
with
choose
it,
to stay with it,
Mhm.
nothing will happen to you.
yeah,
Like you are going to go through fear, but it's for the purpose of having peace and deepening your faith
and strengthening you.
strengthening you. This is what happened to us. And we realized, and a lot of the people in the community were helping us to heal this. And we realized that when you are building something with God, nothing can mess with that. Like nothing can destroy it, because you are really having a real foundation, a permanent and eternal foundation. And this process really
Shook up our.
shook us like completely our foundation. We were like, wow, like things that this needs to prove that is real.
Mhm.
And it proved itself that all of our inner work was there supporting us, that
Everything
all
we've
of our
learned through-
spiritual fruits or spiritual success that we have till that moment was there with us, and nothing fall apart.
Yeah,
The
and
only thing
that.
that fall apart is a lot of fear
Mhm.
that we released.
Yeah, and this is exactly like what Jeff and Shaleia teach. Like Jeff has said in classes, like you will go through challenges that like have the potential to uproot you, you know, but you never have to be uprooted. Like you never have to let go of what you've learned. Like it's in these moments where you get to put into practice everything you've learned
Mhm.
here by studying this work and, you know, doing the inner work. Like it's that's something Jeff and Shaleia say too, is that like it's easy when it's easy, you know, like it's easy to say you choose love when there's not like chaos going on.
Yeah,
but
but it's
like,
easy to know the theory.
yeah, like it's easy to say like you are a student or like a true like a true student at this work when it's easy, but like when it's hard is when it really matters. That you choose love even when it's really hard, you know, and when you feel very challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was like huge.
Yeah, and so now, tomorrow is our legal wedding.
Now let's talk about the real wedding.
Well, yeah, like the real wedding takes place, and you guys will all be able to see it on this channel on Saturday, the 18th of September. Our real legal wedding and the COU wedding service takes place on September 15th, but it will premiere on September 18th. And this time, every little detail was correct. We had the support of the lawyer, we had the government approved, you know, we've got all of the witnesses, like some of our closest clients that are in Spain are coming to help and be a witness to our wedding. And so like, yeah, it feels better this time around that we did it like through the process, which was another lesson for me. I grew up with a father who just like, what's the word? Like he just abandoned this type of stuff. Like if it had anything to do with paperwork or whatever, like, you know, he just didn't do it. And it like made me always feel in life that it was so hard, you know, like to be on top of your stuff. But this process actually taught us that no, like handling your foundation is very rewarding, and you just do it one step at a time, even if it's a lot of paperwork or whatever.
Yeah, this is something that Jeff and Shaleia like really like, you know, enforce a lot in the teaching. It's like foundation is key for everything, and it looks like the boring stuff,
Paperwork.
like the paperwork, like we were very resistant to it, but oh my god, having the
so
security and the safety is worth every second of your time and of your investment. And this is also in the Twin Flame journey, like it's a foundation that you want to have.
Yeah.
Or in this work you want to have a deep foundation and
roots.
a stable and roots and lay roots
In God.
in God.
Not just in the words that you hear, you know, because it's one thing to hear the words that are being taught to you and like get it mentally, but it's another thing to like know it in your heart and experience it and like live that. And that's like what this whole experience taught us, is how to ground really deep roots in God and through this teaching, you know.
Yeah.
And that when you have those really deep roots, like there's literally no power that could ever come between you and your twin flame and separate you. And now like that we're getting married, it just feels so much more like
peaceful.
Secure. Like I just feel so much safer, even though it's not happening. It's like I can feel like this like desire to just be married, you know, and have that, because it's like it is like grounding your marriage in heaven, which is your harmonious union, on earth, which is physical marriage. And yeah, like there will be no more issue with us being from different countries. Like you'll be able to come to the US and we can get a visa and a green card eventually for you. And we just don't have to worry about this type of thing, like things that could potentially split you up, like that. There's nothing, like legally speaking, nothing. So it just feels so much safer.
Yeah, and another lesson here, don't try to do it your way. It is God's way.
Yeah, you gotta do it God's way. There was something that felt not good from the very beginning. Another lesson is like trust your intuition. When something feels off, trust that, because like I think that's something that I've learned, is how to become much more sensitive to my feelings throughout all of this, because like something did feel off about the going to Gibraltar. Like something didn't feel right. Like it was just not connecting. And then so after all of that happened, when I started to feel into doing it in the city here in Spain, that felt good. That felt like, ooh, that feels juicy, even though it's like more work technically. But
don't avoid the work.
Don't avoid the work. Don't give up. Like that's how Shaleia left a comment on one of my posts like a month or two ago, where I said we officially have our date set. Woohoo! You know, like Shaleia said, congratulations. It's going to be a lot more meaningful, even more meaningful than before. And it was already going to be meaningful, of course. But like, and I said I completely agree. Like it just means like our wedding means so much more now. And she said, you've got to claim life to have it. And that was a huge lesson here. Like, it doesn't matter what obstacles come up. It's like, what is it? The life purpose class, Jim, with Jim, the story of Jim. It's the same. It's like, you're going to come across places where you have the opportunity to give up and choose fear and give up on your dream, or you can move forward, and you will move through your challenge. Like, you will move through the block.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of lessons. Yeah, we really learned a lot. yeah, what we received from this out more of faith, like surrender, like trust, and a stable foundation.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing to have.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to share today with everyone, is this story and this experience that we've had, and this like faith that we've developed, and this confidence in this teaching and in God, and just like how safe it is to ground your roots deeply into God.
And God will never abandon you.
Never, ever, ever.
Yeah. So it is complete for me.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think anything else. No, it feels complete.
Good. Then we can finish today's sermon with the closing prayer and the closing hymns. Father, I accept your word into my heart. I will honor your will in my life and will follow you without hesitation anywhere you ask. I know you guide me into your heart, where I belong. I accept that you are everywhere and your teaching is in all things. God, I know you provide me clarity in this teaching of union, that I may be forever in union with you.
I accept that you are in me as you are in my brother. I will not deny my brother your word, and I will share your teaching with him in any way you ask, and only as you ask. For when I share my salvation with him, I fully claim my salvation and return to you with him. In Christ's name, Amen. Speaking this prayer in your heart means that you have accepted that you are on the path to awakening to your true divine nature. This is what it means to be a unionist. Follow the teachings of union with God wherever you find them, and purify your consciousness into perfect union with your Creator.
Good. So now we can close with the closing hymns. You can follow along or in your mind. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this Sunday sermon. And just to give it a little bit of a closing, I would love to share like the message that I received, but like basically I love like how they share how God is your foundation through each step of your process, your journey. And also something that they were mentioning is like trusting that inner guidance, because as they were sharing their experience, they were also talking about these moments in which they felt something was off, but they were still choosing to trust in how they felt guided to move through the process for their marriage, and how each step was actually perfect because it led them perfectly into their healing, perfectly into the support they needed with all the papers that were necessary for their marriage to be like legally grounded in Spain. And like, yeah, and of course, like a biggest lesson in surrendering. I feel like that was overall the overarching message of their sermon is
surrender to love,
exactly.
Surrender to God.
And it's completely safe to move through these feelings. This is something that José and Shaleia speak in their classes and throughout their body of work, that it's always safe to move through the feelings and challenges that are arising. It's okay to embrace them. It's okay to honor whether they trigger something in you, but you can still choose to find love and peace in that place, and from there take the next step. And how, yeah, like whenever we do this, and Jose and Michaela have showed this perfectly, miracles happen along the way. Like manifesting the perfect lawyer, they felt extremely supported. She helped them with everything they needed. and it was perfect for them to feel safe in moving forward given the circumstances, because of course this was like a situation that God generated in a sense, so that they could call in this healing. And it also ties in very well with last sermon from Carmel about challenges, or like how challenges are earned. And I feel like they really earned this challenge, and they were able to move through it exquisitely.
Yes.
And that's a great example for everyone on how we can all have this and step by step manifest the life that we actually want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's, I don't know if you have anything to share. Feel
No.
kind of complete.
I feel complete with that, and so I would like to invite you, like you mentioned, another sermon, to visit the Church of Union website, unionism.org. There you can watch all our past sermons, you can listen to our music, you can watch all our card readings.
And find our oldest meditation, like the previous meditations.
Of course, you can also find the meditations, and you can also donate to the Church of Union, so that we can contribute spreading the message into the world. And we also have always after our Sunday services
Or after
church tea time.
And you are more welcome to join.
Yes, on our Facebook group, Unionism Spiritual Discussion Facebook group.
Yeah.
Please join us here, and thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the Sunday service, and stay safe.
And we'll see
All our love.
Yeah. Next time.
Next time. Bye.
Bye.